increasing transparency. That's the bottom line about it, which I think is a great thing. 100% just agree with what you said, right? It's about disclosure. It's about transparency. And this is one of the core values actually of EXP that one of the things I love about the company too, is like getting out in front of it, right? We don't need to hide behind the curtain. I just had actually an agent on my team that shared with, they were talking about referral fees, and she could connect them with an agent in some other market. And as part of it, she could collect a referral fee. Well, I know there's certain companies, they don't even want that it being told to the potential buyer or seller that any referral fee is being paid. They wanted to sweep it under the rug. Like, don't talk about referral fees. We don't want to talk about that.
Welcome to the Better Agent Podcast. If you're a real estate agent that's looking to grow your business, then you're in the right place. Whether you want to go from 5 to 10 transactions a year, or 10 to 50 transactions per year, or more, well, then this show is for you. I'm Josh Lavik, your host for the Better Agent Podcast, and in each episode, we'll bring you the tools, tips, and tricks directly from myself and some of the best leaders within the real estate industry. We have one goal in mind, and that's to boost your production and elevate your real estate game. Let's dive in and start creating a better real estate experience together.
Welcome back to the Better Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Lavik, and we're here talking with agents about how to be a better agent. So if you're a real estate agent out there and you want to get better, hopefully listening to our show is giving you some insight into the habits, backgrounds, tips, things that I've done over my 20-year career, and then also some of our guests that we also bring on the show. And yeah, I mean, I've been doing real estate here in the Madison area for most of that time, and been at a handful of different brokerages, but also just always looking to kind of learn and grow. And whether it's books like you see on the shelves behind me, or other guests and conferences and things like that, I'm a learner at heart, and I love the conversation that I get to have with great agents out there. So today I've got an awesome guest, someone actually I've known for several years. I've also worked with her son a little bit. I remember working with him at one of his projects in Madison. So I'm excited to talk with Sheri Marie. She is also with eXp Realty, but has I think a really unique perspective, because, well, I'll let you share more about it, Sheri, but what I think is interesting about Sheri's business is she's kind of in both states, both in Wisconsin and in Florida. If you're an agent out there and you're wondering, hey, how could I be an agent in my current market and another market? What does that look like? Is that even possible? And Sheri is here to tell you a lot more about it. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Sheri. Sheri, why don't you share a little bit more about yourself and about your background and anything else you think is interesting for our guests to know?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, Josh, very much. And I never in 100 years thought I would be down here or doing what I'm doing and it grow the way it has grown. But this is what I love about real estate, right? I started out in real estate back in 2003 when I got laid off from teaching. So we had just built our dream house in Middleton, Wisconsin. I had 3 little kids, 2, 4, 5, and was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And so people said, gosh, you should get into real estate. And I thought, that's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I got 3 kids I don't want to miss nights and weekends, right? But those 3 little kids, as you referenced, are now full adults. Gotten them all the way through college. My son, CJ, who you mentioned, so CJ Furmanek, he actually is in real estate. He has gone the route of commercial, but has even done huge projects to the 200 millions in the Milwaukee, Madison area. He's now with Chase in Chicago. So he's gone on to do that on a different realm of real estate. But for me, I found myself in COVID and I should back up right before that. My 3rd child went to college, and Joe Ferraro from Madison area invited me to EXPCon in Las Vegas. And I had no clue what I was doing. And by the end of the conference, I joined EXP after 17 years as a little independent, my own sole broker in Middleton, because I knew I needed the technology. I had no clue where was I going to be going. Never thought I would move away as a Midwest mom. But then going into 2020, I had 3 kids in college during COVID and thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I started flying on a plane down to Florida to some of our other EXP agents, got my clients off of LinkedIn, partnered with an agent down here. I'd work with them on what are they looking for, all of the aesthetics for their home, including staging and all that stuff, because I was an Airbnb superhost in Madison for the Scott Stricker Foundation. And that's how I ended up in Florida during COVID, back and forth. Now we're 2026, right? I
Yeah.
am now at the place where I don't just do these 2 states. I'm a brand because we're allowed in our brokerage, and we'll talk about it later. I
Yeah.
have I did 24 years of new construction. I've done multiple states. I've done,
Well, and that's where our paths, I believe, originally crossed. I
yes,
think I had you were at, I think it was Midwest Homes, and I had
yes,
come to meet with them to learn about how they build homes and what they
yes.
do and what's it all about. I mean, great builder in the area, but yeah, you know a lot. I mean, and having built a home yourself, you know, you've got a lot of new construction experience out there, which I
I
think
did my
is
first new construction in 2003 at $1 million back in 2003.
wow.
And of those 17 years I did on my own in my brokerage, 5 of the end of it, I was also with Midwest Homes, because at the time you could keep your own brokerage and a exclusive builder contract. So that's how I started doing that. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
was going to come here, everybody said, sure, you love new construction, you're going to hate it in Florida, because it's not the same style level, it's not the same skill level, the contractors are more challenging. And so that's how I originally came down here of, oh gosh, I do existing, but new construction is always my thing, especially as a woman. But what I'm thrilled about is how much I have learned in the 5 years coming out of here. We're a global brokerage. And
Yeah.
anybody sitting anywhere, that was the number one thing I learned in Wisconsin. Every one of our agents should have global on their piece, because our brokerage is. And you
Mm-hmm.
never know where your people are coming from. The people that I have met in the last 5 years down here, I guess, I'm going into starting my 6th year down here, and I go back and forth and wherever.
Yeah.
It's unreal what you can learn, the people you can learn, and the business you can grow. So now I can be in any state, right? By teammate and referral. I can be in global, because I'm on global committee for a 3rd year of NABOR, one of the highest in the nation for global business. And
Mm-hmm.
you learn and you participate and you have fun, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, totally. I was at EXPCon in October, and I remember, you know, talking with some of these guys. They were from the UK, United
Yeah.
Kingdom, and you know, we ran the 5K together, and they were telling us all about their company and how excited they are, and about EXP, how they're able to come to these large scale events, and how we're all connected. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all still trying to help our clients buy and sell real estate. But that was certainly one thing I appreciated coming from. I got my start at a smaller independent brokerage in the Madison area. So, you know, not totally on my own, but I was with just an independent broker, but they were only based in the Madison area. And so one of the things when I switched to a much larger company that did have a larger international presence, it's like I felt like your mind just expands to what's possible. And it's like, once you see that, it's like you can't go backward. It's like, I don't know, it just seems like so much more could be possible. I know I'm getting excited, actually, even for spring break. We're going to Switzerland and France for our spring break with our kids. And so, you know, we're going to go skiing in the Alps and then go to Paris for a while. And, you know, if I can partner with an agent in France, then, you know, EXP has a presence there, and we can develop those partnerships and referral partnerships and those mentorships. So it's,
so while I'm listening to you, you sound like you have quite a phenomenal life, right? Like that's a movie for a video for sure. So please do that. The other thing is, just when I was up at October, when I had my first grandchild, there's an agent with a different brokerage, I won't say, and she goes to Europe all the time and has family there. And she's like, I want to grow that presence, but their brokerage doesn't do that. And I said, this is the beauty, right? Then I can tell you some of my very good friends, one a Swiss fighter pilot from Switzerland, right? That I see all the time. And he now owns a private airline down here.
Yeah.
Some of my first people down here were really Canadian, Germany, and Switzerland, in addition to just the United States, right? And so it just opens up your mind about what's possible. And then even thinking about how do you best help people either buy or sell, coming from a whole different culture, or they may know it better than you do, right? Of what's allowed and how does the process work here. I originally became certified an international property specialist because there's really high percentage. At one point, it was 29% of international down here. I wanted to just understand and not be that rude American. You know,
so
we don't know
understanding the different cultures out there and what are the cultural norms and expectations.
But my point back to Madison is, here's the part I always want to say. Again, I don't do everything international, but when I was in Wisconsin, and particularly for that builder, I built a very high number of clients from India where I would sell off of FaceTime the lot, and we had to know the topography and the numbers for their legacy, for their culture. And
Mm-hmm.
we built more homes for the Indian culture that people don't realize how global Madison is, the Madison
Sure.
area. And
Yep.
even that airport is trying to switch over to an international airport because we
Mm-hmm.
pull talent from all over the place. I have another
Yeah.
connection to a business up there that's international in the biomedical. They need both talent, investors, all this kind of stuff. They're in Madison, and people think of us as a Four Season, sleepy. That's so not Madison at
Yeah.
all, or Milwaukee, or
Yep.
whatever. So it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting to see it shifting. I know the airport. Boy, I'll tell you what, the older I get, the more I just want to fly out of that airport because it's so nice. That's for sure. So
It's super easy and it's safe. So I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So I know you'd sent in a few notes and questions and things that we could maybe talk about during our episode today. One of the things that kind of stood out to me on that I'd maybe like to dive a little deeper in on is you had mentioned kind of shifting, or what you thought was more of a shift in terms of the agent role. How is the role of the agent in the sale of real estate or the transaction? You mentioned something about that kind of changing, and I guess I'm a little curious about it because from my perspective, in some ways, I feel like the agent role hasn't changed too much. Like at the essence of it, to me, is more right. We're still helping people buy and sell real estate. We're still, that sort of fiduciary person that's kind of helping be their counselor, their guidance, their sort of second ear, so to speak, give them advice around the transaction and stuff. But I'm curious to hear more about what do you think is how does that role shifting with buyers and sellers or with clients, or we all know AI is disrupting the world, right? That's definitely a part of the equation. But I don't know, what do you see as kind of the agent role and how that's shifting, and whether it's technology or not, or something else? I don't know what perspective could you give to that?
Yeah, so I can give a huge perspective on all those juicy nuggets, right? Because I sit on not only these two states, but I also am the Agent Advisory Council co-chair. I'll be the chair in May, and regional for EXP. So I do a lot with our brokerage and regionally and with both states. And so that's where I see a lot of these pieces. And then in addition to these change ups with the lawsuit changes, right, for our brokerages and our agents that really are all moving our industry to be better professionals. And the consumer is the one that often doesn't understand. We have a very complicated business, and they think we just open doors. We do not just open doors.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the great part is that the vast majority of people, and you can tell statistically, so National Association of Realtors came out with their 2025 report. 91% of sellers used an agent. 88% of buyers used an agent. Do you know why? It's because it's gotten completely complicated that people didn't used to understand. In regards to, we have constantly changing forms and legislation and rules. We have fraud in real estate, unfortunately, and I'm not a fearmonger and I don't like that. However, we have to educate the public. So the level of fraud that's coming in, both with artificial intelligence, but also real people and real bad actors, is a huge thing. Right now in the state of Florida, and it may end up affecting other states, they have a bill that's going to produce the requirement to videotape the entire every contract you do with a senior citizen or someone that has a disability, to make sure you've described, you've explained, they understand, they know what's happening, they understand their decisions. This is not an easy business. And I think because we really are in a high ticket sales industry, I don't know why we've never been addressed that way to start with. So a lot of people are right. They used to think we were trick-or-treaters. You come to an open house, we open the house, I want to see what the neighbors have decorated with. It never should have been treated that way, because these are high ticket sales, private inventory of that seller, right? Or that buyer needing to have day one before we open the door, as we have now, the ability to purchase before we're allowing them near the asset. What Ferrari would I let you drive off with? Right?
Yeah.
Without understanding, do you have the ability? Are we, and I think that's the part of our industry that's really elevating. And people like yourself or myself, who are the old dogs, and we have, 20, 24 years experience, we're leading a lot of help to the consumer and help to our brokerages and our individual businesses to how do we do this better? So there's this separating, right, of not co-broking in the future. Our brokerage very much believes that we will be going down the seller is here and the buyer is here, and you're making your own separate decisions, both legally, financially, and all these things. So
Yeah.
we are the huge leaders in the industry of being kind of first or beginning of any change ups of how we're doing things. This is really good and exciting because we were always supposed to be operating a certain way. However, there's also a lot of even better way we could be operating now in terms of what's best for the consumer. And I think
Yeah.
that's the part that's exciting for those of us willing to be out here and lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think certainly the world has changed a lot since the lawsuit in 2024 and how, the main thing, right, and how we co-broke, right? We're no longer splitting one agent's commission, right? They're separate and it's separated. And if there's a buyer agent on a transaction and they want a fee being paid by the seller, they're negotiating it as part of the deal. And it's increasing transparency. That's the bottom line about it, which I think is a great thing. 100% just agree with what you said, right? It's about disclosure, it's about transparency, and this is one of the core values actually of EXP that one of the things I love about the company too is like getting out in front of it, right? We don't need to hide behind the curtain. I just had actually an agent on my team that shared with, they were talking about referral fees, and she could connect them with an agent in some other market, and as part of it she could collect a referral fee. Well, I know there's certain companies, and I'm not going to name names either, but they don't even want that it being told to the potential buyer or seller that any referral fee is being paid. They wanted to sweep it under the rug. Like, don't talk about referral fees. We don't want to talk about that. It's a part of it. They deserve
100%.
to know. And
this is the other charge that's coming up right now of
Yeah.
the disclosure of the referral. If it's not, if it's outside of your brokerage, I've always been that way.
Yeah.
I've also never been in all the RICO charges that are coming up. I've never been involved in $1 of none of it. And I can say that in my marketing at 24 years because I haven't. What's the evidence? The evidence is I never did one thing, And so some of this is the whole point is for the consumer, right? We're wanting to be more intelligent for the consumer. We're wanting to help the consumer understand you also have responsibilities in the discussion because they think I hired you, you're supposed to do everything and make sure I'm okay. Well, you're still having due diligence. You're still having the legal responsibility to sign the contract, right? We've got different things in the state of Florida where we, with senior citizens, have to look out for their best interest. So if someone gets on title, they don't have $1 on your property, but they're going to control your sale and want your equity. Is that fraudulent or manipulative or something going on? We have a bigger responsibility down here to take care of that for someone. So these are the cool parts of our job. I think the consumer has been so, not at their own fault at all, confused because it is a complicated business. Part of our business used to, with some brokerages, be behind the curtain, right? And really, it should just be all right here because we are working for them in a temporary employment contract, But I think these changes are cool because each of us that have a piece or an interest, or we need the younger agents as well, but they're not quite ready to handle all this stuff by themselves, We are all trying to work in an industry that needs to do the best for consumer and have a succession plan, right? For everybody. And I think also, I'm going to just say this, we've gotten to a place as brokerages where it's also really hard to be necessarily with a small brokerage having to do with, it's a litigious business. And so I used to be a single.
Well, and we're seeing more mergers happening, right? You see this right now. Compass
Yeah.
just acquired Anywhere, which is all of these other brands, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, blah, blah, blah. And like, there's been, right, Zillow has been acquiring a bunch of different companies. Even EXP has been acquiring some smaller companies and growing and all these things. And so, you're seeing this consolidation happening in the real estate space, right? Keller Williams, they brought on private lender as part of their balance sheet, which they never had for years, right? It was all just a privately held company. So, so as you see this consolidation, I do think it will be probably harder, I would think, for some of those smaller brokerages just to compete and offer the number of things that some of these other larger brokerages and entities can offer, right? So can they still exist? Absolutely. It's just, I think it's going to look different than
it's choice, right? So I always want to be we want to encourage every style of brokerage, right? Because that's our business. I love it. I was 17 years on my own. I can just also make the comment of the legal environment wasn't like this before. And so it just lets the consumer know too, you got to also take a look at what do I want from my agent? What is my specific situation? What's the right personality? So even as you mentioned referral, I always say I have 83,000 teammates all over the world and commercial, because I do commercial as well with our teammates. and I'm approved to do that. And we have that opportunity in our brokerage, which a lot
Totally.
don't. And you have to be approved, but it's like, see, you get your head up from, I love Wisconsin. My children are still there. I come back, but I didn't understand the bigger ability of all of the personalities and specialties and ways of real estate until I got out and went and saw and learned a couple other things, so that was hugely valuable to me. Because then I go, oh my gosh, I can do new construction, I can do commercial, I can do my teammates referring. Right now, I'm approved in luxury, so I am actually working with one of our teammates down in Mexico, and she's got the exclusive listings on all the St. Regis and St. Grand Marcan. We're a EXP, and so she's like, please, will you do some videos for me, and can we get this matchup right, because that's our brokerage. We are also broker agnostic, which I love. So down here and up there, I will get agents from all different brokerages to, let's go see this new development. I'll host the broker open with them. Let's bring in, I brought 37 agents to a new development of just, let's let all the agents learn, because it's good for everybody. It's good for that builder. It's good for the agents. And this is what we're supposed to be doing, is be great professionals,
Yep. It's about knowing the market, getting things out there. So yeah. I'm curious about, as we see some of these changes and things shifting and even consolidation, we'll call it mergers, whatever, I wonder what some of the opportunities would be in 2026. Here, we're filming this here. It's January 12th and beginning of the year, right? People have New Year's resolutions. People have 2025 is behind us, and however you did. Maybe it was a great year, maybe it was a horrible year. I don't know. I don't care, right? Where are we at today? What are we doing to move forward? What's our prediction? So what's the opportunity in today's market? Yeah, I don't know. What do you see it as?
I think they're huge. So I've been on this for a couple of years down here as well on my own. So EXP is a great supporter of, they allow us to do our own thing, but they also, if we've got a great idea, they'll support us. One of them, they're very supportive of myself doing independently, and they promote it, is real estate social selling and live real estate social selling.
Oh, interesting.
I'll talk about that, and then I'll come back.
Doing like a Facebook Live or something, and what do you mean?
Yes, but you have to be good at it, and not the old style real estate. So old style real estate would be memorizing scripts, right? And doing that. And a lot of people just are going to die on that stone. Fine. Okay. Social selling is when you're
Hold on. I got to interrupt for just a second.
Okay.
Because to me, scripts are just a practiced way to have a powerful conversation. So I think you can, whatever you say live is your script. Okay. And that's what it is.
There's no script when you're live. You're free floating. So
but that's your script in your head. Your script is in your head. That's my point, right? So you either decide ahead of time, if I'm having a certain type of conversation, how you want to respond. So to me, practicing scripts, I think, can be powerful because it empowers you to decide and be more intentional about how you want to show up. And
huge difference in communication.
I know.
It's okay, but this is good, right? This is why you and I are good. You love what you do, and it's awesome.
Hey, we're recording this live, okay? We're going.
Fine. I've never done a script in my entire 24 years. And everybody's got their style. So that's what's good. For me, when you're live, there is absolutely no script. You're live and you're free floating in whatever somebody's coming in to say to you and whatever. It doesn't mean you don't have your experience, right? So I have my experience of whatever I've done, but I've absolutely not pre-practiced, nor have I done necessarily subject matter points below. I'm here with you doing this for real, and we're going where it's going. That's live. Here's the thing I want to back up. So
the kind of how the podcast is, right? You submitted questions ahead of time, but we're pretty free flowing, right? So
it's not scripted. There's no way it's scripted. There's no way, because yes, I submitted a couple points, but this is exactly the point. And great for you that scripts work for you, and great for any agent that they want to do that and stuff. What I want to help agents understand.
Well, here's what scripts don't work is robotic ones that aren't you, that shouldn't be you. Those ones 100%, don't work.
100%. Or I like to have authentic conversations of whatever's happening in the moment. Yeah. I'm not going to manipulate you. I'm not going to, So here's the big thing about live and social selling.
Okay.
It is not new. So for 15 years in China, it's been going on. In 2024, $250 billion were sold in live social selling. It is a huge thing. For our generation, think back to QVC. And then we don't want to be so salesy and I in 24 said to our brokerage, wait a second, real estate's not even in that category of $250 billion worth of live selling. We can live sell on real estate, and our brokerage lets us. A lot of brokerages will not, but EXP will let you. I have done live open houses with this format and taught our agents down here. You are not doing it so salesy. You are talking to whomever, and they could be in Europe, they could be here, they could be in Wisconsin, right? And you are doing the live as if they are your buyer coming in the door, but it is much more social than it is sign on the contract. And I know you're confused because I see your face.
I'm confused. Well, I don't go live a whole lot, so I'm not sure. So like, but
It's a
Facebook
huge
Live,
thing.
I'm probably the most familiar with. I think YouTube now allows you to go live or whatever.
So I've been doing it for 6 years already. Well, no, more than that, 7 years already. So real estate live social selling and social selling, which would be when it's recorded, not live, are a thing. When you asked about trends, it will absolutely be the thing going forward. And here's why. The consumer's already used to buying that way, and they have been for a long time. They're purchasing off their phone. They're watching, they're shooting their phone to the computer. Where's the second place agents should be? YouTube. Because that entire thing is not only going to podcasts. That's like, podcasts are 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Yes, we need them, but that's like, it is. I got one. Don't worry about it. I'm doing it.
Hey, whatever. I mean, I think everybody has their preferred medium. I don't know. I love listening to podcasts on like a road trip. Like that's like my favorite thing.
They're still important. I'm just saying the entire YouTube, here's what's changing, and also in the industry of real estate. So we need to not just focus on real estate as the industry, watch every industry to see trends and how can you use it in your industry. So here's what's changing about YouTube. Yes, podcasts are still a thing. Yes, they're still popular. Yes, there's people that have made millions doing that, right? But that's a known model. So what's happening in YouTube, they have spent $150 million recently to add up the whole ability to create a community on YouTube, where you can have people that are your regulars that are interacting with you all the time. They've spent all this money to get shorts going because TikTok was so important, right? Instagram's having some challenges. And so they're all fighting for the dollar of how do I keep you online and how do I help you buy? Because that's where the consumer is and what they're already doing. And so I'll bet you.
Fighting for attention, right? I mean, that's what it is, right? Everybody's fighting for your attention, whether
100%.
it's the latest app, the latest phone, right? I mean, even right? Even if we're calling and following up with leads or opportunities, people we met at open houses, right? Like we're fighting for some of their attention compared to the other 20 agents they just met with, right?
And they want to be entertained. But here's the second thing. Information's going to die because chat will tell you that. So agents have to be not just putting information out, like we used to get a lot of agents of giving them, here's the 1, 2, 3 of the what, they can get that from chat now. So we have to give a different value about it or how we're using it because they can just get it somewhere else in 5 seconds. We need to watch these trends and understand so that we can implement it in our business, right? So it's like, how do you do a better job than just giving information they can get on chat, and chat's getting our MLS listings now.
Chat GPT you're talking about?
Yes, or Gemini or any of them. They're all people are uploading our listings into there to get the information, which then we don't own it, it's not private, and the consumer can get it in 2 seconds. So agents need to realize information's not going to either be our main currency because we have to be more valuable than that. They can get it from chat.
Right. So it's insight, which actually
service
in some ways, right? The role of an agent hasn't really changed. Your job and duty should be insight, right? It should be providing that additional level of insight. Hey, what do you think of this property, Sheri?
Yeah.
Hey, it's listed at $1 million. What do you think I can get it for? Is it a good deal or not? Or why do you think it's a good fit or not? I mean, right? It's that second level question.
Our job is not necessarily different. It depends on where you live because it's radically different in some locations. So that's another thing, right? It kind of depends on the social norms in the area as well, because it's different up north in Wisconsin than it is in Madison. But the way we do it,
that is true. I had an experience. I won't say where, but it was not my normal market in Wisconsin, and I got a nasty comment or whatever from somebody that said, go back to Madison or something. I don't know. It's like, okay.
They were just jealous.
I don't know. We had an approved appointment, and then they showed up, and then they were all upset about it. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what's going on? Anyway.
And lots of times it's because the consumer or the other agent can't understand, right? But if it was agent or agent, and don't say, we have a right to do business. We have a right to not prevent each other. If the customer wants to be with us or hire us, we have a right to that, right? And if we're competent, hey, it's okay. We're going to see some of that as this stuff rolls out. More of it is, I think, being aware of some of these things that, I mean, YouTube can be an entire community for you that you do not pay for leads. That's what's important. Yeah. Real estate, social selling cannot have agents paying for leads. This is the stuff that starts to be important because it serves the seller and the buyer more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll look to social selling in 2026, and maybe I can social sell some properties in Florida and Mexico and France and all over the place, right? Yes. Why not? Yes. I mean, that just seems like a cool opportunity for both of us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Sheri, I really appreciate you coming on our show and dropping some nuggets and sharing and bantering with me. I felt like this was a good, healthy dialogue and debate, which I really appreciate, actually. It's like, I think there's more than one way to do this business. There's more than one way to be successful. And I think at the end of the day, find your groove, find your lane, find what you're passionate about, get involved in communities, right? You're super involved in all these different committees and an agent advisory committee. And, I've done some of those in the past. I've done other ones, different types of things. And so at the end of the day, I think that's a good message that any agent listening to this can take away is get involved in some type of committee, something you're passionate about, find your groove. Scripts or no scripts, I don't know.
Everybody doesn't want the same realtor, and that's great.
It is great. That's true. That's
great.
Totally true. Yep, that's true. I've had lots of experiences, right? And I've had many times, right? I've gone on an appointment. I think it went well, and then they tell me, no, we decided to go with someone else. Oh, was there anything specific I did? And they're just like, no, we just felt more comfortable with this other agent. Okay, that's fine. Sometimes that's how it works, and so we go to the next appointment, and I have an appointment after this recording, and I'm going to go meet with them. They are my client. So you know what? At the end of the day, we just kind of keep going, keep putting our foot forward and do the best we can, and that's what you can do. So I don't know, any last words that you want to close with before we sign off?
I appreciate the opportunity, and you're exactly right. That's just it. We want different kinds of realtors. We want really great professional realtors. We want to be serving the consumer, right? That's what our job is. And so that's the part that's good, and everybody needs to decide, how does it work for you? Or that's a hard no for me, and that's okay. It's totally fine. But when you ask about heads up, that's the heads up, whether you like it or not, or I like it or not, right? Of just whatever. And then people get to decide, because the consumer's the one of, I want an agent. That's why referrals are a great, fine thing, because maybe I'm not the right agent, or because I'm not all the time in Wisconsin, I refer. So I will, even for my people, go, oh, this agent is a good match, right? For this person. Totally. Next time it's this one. And so it's a great thing.
Yep, that it is. It's a great thing. And, it's a great business to be a part of. So
it is.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you got some value out of our episode and some nuggets to help you become a better agent and a better realtor out there in the world. And if there's anything I can do, feel free to reach out to myself or Sheri down also with EXP. And tune in next time to the Better Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Lavik, and that's our episode for today. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Better Agent Podcast. I hope you found today's insights valuable. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more tips, Q&A sessions, and sneak peeks into our 21-day challenge. To get full access of our show notes and more details on the 21-day challenge, go to abetterrealestateexperience.com. Keep striving for greatness, and I'll see you on the next episode.